our office. Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
Please don't do this in front
Miss
of my
Cole,
kids.
let her go. Stop.
It's okay, babies.
The classroom security camera at Lincoln Elementary School captured something that still makes me sick to my stomach every time I watch it. At 10:14 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, 23 third graders watched their teacher being handcuffed by federal agents and dragged out of room 204, while a math lesson was still written on the whiteboard behind her. The children screamed. Some cried. One 8-year-old boy threw up on his desk from the shock. And the teacher, Ms. Vanessa Cole, kept saying the same thing over and over as the handcuffs closed around her wrists in front of the students she'd been teaching for 3 years. I'm an American citizen. I was born in Atlanta. Please don't do this in front of my kids. The ICE agent responded by tightening the cuffs. What those agents didn't know, what they failed to verify before storming into a third-grade classroom during instructional time, was that Vanessa Cole had her birth certificate, her U.S. passport, and her Georgia driver's license all on file in the school's HR office. They didn't know because they didn't check. They saw a name match in a database and decided that was enough to traumatize 23 children and destroy a teacher's sense of safety in her own classroom. The lawsuit that followed would award Vanessa $15.8 million and change how federal immigration enforcement could operate in schools nationwide. But before we get there, I need to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. And if this is your first time here, subscribe now, because what I'm about to walk you through is one of the most devastating examples of what happens when federal agents don't do their homework before ruining lives. Have you ever seen authority completely disregard the trauma they're causing children? Keep that question in mind. Vanessa Cole was 31 years old, in her 7th year as an elementary school teacher. She'd been born in Atlanta, Georgia at Grady Memorial Hospital on July 2, 1992. Her parents were both teachers. Her father taught high school history, her mother taught 2nd grade. Education was the family business. She grew up in East Point, attended Atlanta public schools, graduated from Spelman College with honors in elementary education, and got her master's degree from Georgia State while working full-time as a student teacher. She'd chosen 3rd grade specifically because that's when kids transition from learning to read to reading to learn, and she loved being part of that transformation. She was exceptional at her job, the kind of teacher parents requested by name during enrollment, the kind who stayed late tutoring struggling students without charging a dime, the kind who spent her own money on classroom supplies because the school budget wasn't enough. Her classroom walls were covered with student artwork, inspirational quotes, and a massive number line that stretched across 3 walls because she believed math should be visual and everywhere. Her performance reviews from Principal Matthews used phrases like exemplary, deeply committed, and the teacher every child deserves. Her students adored her. She had a way of making every kid feel seen, especially the ones other teachers had written off as difficult or slow. One student, Marcus, had come to her classroom barely able to read. He'd failed 2nd grade twice. By December of 3rd grade with Miss Cole, he was reading at grade level. His mother cried during parent-teacher conferences, thanking Vanessa for seeing her son's potential when no one else had. That mother would later testify in court. Miss Cole saved my son's future, and those agents destroyed her in front of him. He still has nightmares. Vanessa had never left the United States except for one vacation to Jamaica with her college roommates. She'd never overstayed any visa because she'd never needed a visa. She was American by birth. She had a U.S. passport she'd gotten at 16 for a school trip to Canada. She voted in every election. She had a 401k, a student loan payment schedule, and a mortgage on a small house in Decatur. She was as American as anyone could be, with a paper trail spanning 31 years to prove it. That Wednesday morning, October 18, 2023, she had no idea that her name, Vanessa Marie Cole, matched the name of a different woman in an ICE database. A woman who'd overstayed a visa from Trinidad 8 years earlier. A woman who was 47 years old, not 31. A woman who'd left the country in 2019 and never returned. The agents never checked the age, never checked the birth date, never verified they had the right person. They just saw Vanessa Cole and decided that was close enough. Vanessa was in the middle of teaching division. 23 third graders sat at their desks, some focused, some struggling, all trying to understand how to split 48 into groups of 6. She was at the whiteboard, colored marker in hand, drawing circles and dots to make the concept visual. So if we have 48 cookies and we want to share them equally among 6 friends, how many cookies does each friend get? Hands shot up. 8. Several voices called out. Exactly. And how did we figure that out? The classroom door opened. Vanessa turned, expecting maybe the principal or a parent. Instead, 2 men in tactical vests stood in the doorway. The vests read "Police Ice" in large white letters. The classroom went silent. 23 8 and 9-year-olds stared at the men with badges and obvious weapons on their hips. "Can I help you?" Vanessa said, her voice calm but her heart already racing. She stepped away from the whiteboard, instinctively positioning herself between her students and the agents. "Vanessa Cole?" the lead agent said. His name tag read Bradley. "Yes, I'm Miss Cole. What's this about?" "I'm in the middle of teaching. You need to come with us. We have a warrant for your detention." The students' eyes went wide. Several mouths dropped open. Vanessa felt her stomach drop. "I'm sorry, what? A warrant for what?" "Immigration violation. You're being detained for questioning about your legal status in the United States." Vanessa almost laughed. It was so absurd. "I'm an American citizen. I was born in Atlanta. There's been a mistake. You can explain that at our office. You need to come with us now." "I'm in the middle of teaching a class," Vanessa said, her voice rising slightly. "I can't just leave 23 children unsupervised. Let me call the office, get coverage for my classroom, and I'll go with you to clear this up." Bradley stepped into the classroom. His partner followed. The students in the front row physically recoiled, their desks scraping backward. "Ma'am, you're coming with us now. We can do this the easy way or the hard way." Marcus, the student she taught to read, raised his hand from the back row. His voice was small, scared. "Ms. Cole, what's happening?" Vanessa looked at him, then at all her students, then back at the agents. "There's been a mistake. I just need to turn around and put your hands behind your back," Bradley said, pulling handcuffs from his belt. And that's when 23 children learned what it looks like when authority doesn't care who's watching. The classroom security camera captured everything. Every moment, every word, every child's face as they watched their teacher being treated like a criminal. 10:14 and 32 seconds a.m. Bradley grabs Vanessa's arm. She pulls away instinctively. "Don't touch me," she says. "Not in front of my students. Let me call the principal." 10:14 and 41 seconds a.m. Bradley's partner, Agent Morrison, moves to block the door. Students are standing now, several backing away toward the windows. 10:14 and 55 seconds a.m. "Turn around now or we'll make you turn around," Bradley says. Vanessa's voice cracks. Please don't do this in front of my kids. They're 8 years old. Let me step into the hallway. Please." 10:15 and 3 seconds a.m. Bradley grabs both her arms, spins her around, and forces her hands behind her back. The handcuffs click shut. The sound echoes in the silent classroom. And then the children start screaming. "Let her go!" Marcus yells from the back row. A girl named Destiny starts crying, then sobbing. 2 boys near the door run out into the hallway. A student named Aaliyah throws up on her desk, the sound of retching clearly audible on the security footage. 10:15 and 18 seconds a.m. Vanessa is crying now, trying to twist around to see her students. "It's okay, babies. It's a mistake. It's just a mistake. Someone get Mrs. Matthews. Get the principal." 10:15 and 29 seconds a.m. Bradley pushes her toward the door. She stumbles, her hands cuffed behind her, unable to catch her balance. Morrison catches her arm, keeping her upright. "Ms. Cole." Students are screaming. Several are crying. One boy is under his desk, hands over his ears. 10:15 and 47 seconds a.m. They walk her out of the classroom, through the doorway, into the hallway where other teachers are emerging from their classrooms, drawn by the screaming. The third-grade teacher next door, Mrs. Patterson, sees Vanessa in handcuffs and runs toward her. "What are you doing?" "That's Vanessa Cole. She's a teacher here. Federal Immigration Enforcement," Morrison says. "Step back." "Immigration? She's from Atlanta. She went to Spelman." "What are you talking about?" But the agents keep moving, walking Vanessa down the hallway toward the front entrance. Behind them, room 204 is chaos. Children crying, some screaming, others frozen in shock. Principal Matthews arrives at 10:16 and 35 seconds a.m., running full speed down the hallway. The security camera in the main corridor captures her catching up to the agents at the front entrance. "Stop! What are you doing? You can't remove a teacher from my school without notifying administration. We have a warrant," Bradley says, not stopping. "Let me see it." He pulls out a folded document, hands it to her while still walking Vanessa toward the door. Matthews reads it while speedwalking to keep up. "This is an administrative warrant. This isn't judicial authorization. And this doesn't give you permission to enter a school and traumatize children. We're executing our enforcement authority," Morrison says. They're at the front door now. The main office staff is watching through the glass. The school secretary has her hand over her mouth. "I want to call my union representative," Vanessa says. "I have a right to legal counsel." "You'll get a phone call after processing," Bradley says. Matthews grabs his arm. "You're not taking her without proper verification. I have her personnel file. I have her birth certificate on record. She's an American citizen. Then she can prove that at our office," Bradley says, shaking off the principal's hand. They walk Vanessa out the front door of Lincoln Elementary at 10:17 and 52 seconds a.m. A black SUV is parked at the curb. They put her in the back seat, one hand on her head to prevent her from hitting the door frame. Through the window of room 204, 23 third graders watch their teacher disappear into a federal vehicle. Marcus would later tell the court, "I thought they were taking her forever, like when they take people on TV and they don't come back. I thought I'd never see Ms. Cole again." Should federal agents be allowed to arrest teachers in front of elementary school children without verifying they have the right person? Keep that question in your mind because the answer cost the government $15.8 million. They took Vanessa to the ICE field office 40 minutes away. She sat in the back of the SUV, hands cuffed behind her, unable to wipe the tears streaming down her face. "There's been a mistake," she said again. "I'm an American citizen. I was born in Atlanta. My birth certificate is on file at the school." "Everyone says they're a citizen," Morrison said from the front seat. "Because I am. I have a passport. I have a social security card. I've never even left the country except to go to Jamaica once in college." "You'll have a chance to provide documentation," Bradley said. "I don't have my documentation with me. I'm at work. I'm a teacher. I don't carry my birth certificate to school." No response. At the field office, they processed her like any other detainee. Fingerprints, photos, property inventory, her wallet, her phone, her car keys, the dry erase marker she'd been holding when they walked into her classroom. "I need to call my principal," Vanessa said. "I need to make sure my students are okay. I need to—" "You'll get your phone call after verification," the processing officer said. They put her in a holding cell at 11:23 a.m. She sat on a metal bench, still wearing her teaching clothes, khaki pants and a cardigan with little apples embroidered on it, a gift from her students last Christmas. And then she waited. Principal Matthews, meanwhile, had called the school district's legal department. They'd called the superintendent. The superintendent had called the district's federal liaison attorney. And that attorney had immediately requested Vanessa's personnel file. Birth certificate. Vanessa Marie Cole, born July 2, 1992, Grady Memorial Hospital, Atlanta, Georgia. Parents, Robert Cole and Patricia Cole. Social Security card, valid, issued 1992. U.S. passport, issued 2008, renewed 2018, valid through 2028. Georgia driver's license. Valid, no violations. I-9 employment verification. Completed 2016 when she was hired, showing U.S. birth certificate as proof of work authorization. The attorney called ICE at 12:47 p.m. You've detained the wrong person. We have complete documentation showing she's a U.S. citizen by birth. The ICE supervisor pulled up the detention record, then pulled up the database match, then went silent. The warrant was for Vanessa Marie Cole, born January 15, 1976 in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Overstayed visa in 2015. Deportation order issued 2016. Left the country 2019. The woman they'd arrested was born July 2, 1992 in Atlanta, Georgia. Different birth date, different birth country, different age, different person entirely. They'd arrested an elementary school teacher in front of her students, traumatized 23 children, and dragged a U.S. citizen out of her workplace based on nothing more than a name match without checking a single additional piece of identifying information. At 1:15 p.m., they released Vanessa. No apology. Just, there's been an error. You're free to go. Principal Matthews picked Vanessa up from the field office. She found her sitting in the waiting area, still wearing her apple cardigan, her eyes red from crying. Are you okay? Vanessa shook her head. My kids. Are my kids okay? We had counselors in the classroom within 20 minutes. But Vanessa, they're traumatized. They're 8 years old. They watched federal agents handcuff you and take you away. Vanessa started crying again. On the drive back to school, Matthews explained what had happened in room 204 after the arrest. The school counselor had spent 2 hours with the class. Parents had been called. Several had picked up their children early. Marcus had asked if Ms. Cole was being deported. Aaliyah, who'd thrown up, had been sent to the nurse. 2 other children had panic attacks. The superintendent wants you to take the rest of the week off, Matthews said. Paid leave. Not disciplinary, just to recover. I don't want time off, Vanessa said. I want to see my students. I want them to know I'm okay. Tomorrow, Matthews said gently. Let the counselors work with them today. Come back tomorrow. The next day, Vanessa returned to room 204. 23 third graders saw her walk through the door and erupted. They mobbed her, hugging her legs, crying, talking over each other. Ms. Cole, you're back. We thought they took you away forever. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? Marcus was crying. I thought you got deported. Vanessa knelt down so she was eye level with her students. I'm okay, babies. It was a big mistake. The agents thought I was someone else. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. But she couldn't promise that, because she wasn't okay. Every time someone opened the classroom door, her heart rate spiked. Every time she saw someone in uniform near the school, she felt panic rising in her chest. She started having nightmares about being handcuffed in front of her students. And the students weren't okay either. Attendance dropped. Parents kept their kids home. The ones who came to school were anxious, distracted, frightened. Marcus regressed in his reading. Aaliyah refused to leave her mother's side in the morning. The damage was done, and someone was going to be held accountable. Vanessa filed a federal lawsuit 4 months later. The complaint was devastating. Violation of Fourth Amendment rights, false arrest, negligent enforcement, intentional infliction of emotional distress on both Vanessa and her students, violation of clearly established constitutional rights precluding qualified immunity. The evidence was overwhelming. The classroom security footage showing the entire arrest. The children screaming. Vanessa begging them not to do it in front of her students. A student vomiting. Other students crying and backing away in fear. The depositions were damning. Agent Bradley, did you verify Ms. Cole's date of birth before arresting her? We verified her name and workplace location. That wasn't my question. Did you verify her date of birth? No. Did you verify her birthplace? No. Did you check with the school to see if they had citizenship documentation on file? That's not standard procedure. What is standard procedure for ensuring you have the correct person before arresting a teacher in front of her students? We verify based on the information in the database. The database only had a name. Is that sufficient? Silence. Agent Bradley, are you aware that there are thousands of people in the United States named Vanessa Cole? I'm aware common names exist. Did that awareness cause you to verify any additional identifying information before traumatizing 23 children? We followed our protocols. Expert witnesses testified about Fourth Amendment requirements. Law enforcement cannot seize someone based solely on a name match. They need individualized suspicion supported by specific, articulable facts. Arresting someone without verifying birth date, physical description, or any identifying information beyond a common name is unconstitutional. Child psychologists testified about the trauma. 8-year-old children who witnessed their teacher being arrested by armed agents experienced symptoms consistent with acute trauma. Nightmares, anxiety, fear of authority figures, school avoidance. The long-term impacts can include difficulty trusting adults and diminished sense of safety in educational environments. The students themselves testified. The judge allowed video depositions given their age. 23 children describing what they saw, what they felt, how they changed since that day. Marcus, I stopped liking school after that. I used to love Ms. Cole's class. Now I'm scared someone's going to come and take her again. Aaliyah, I have bad dreams about the policemen. They had guns. I thought they were going to shoot Ms. Cole. Destiny, I don't understand why they took her. She didn't do anything wrong. She was teaching us division. The jury watched every video. Some jurors were crying by the end. Vanessa testified about the arrest, the humiliation of being handcuffed in front of her students, the trauma of being processed like a criminal when she'd done nothing wrong. I dedicated my life to teaching children, to making them feel safe and valued. And in one morning, federal agents destroyed that. My students don't feel safe anymore. And honestly, neither do I. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 1 day. Their verdict was unanimous on all counts. Compensatory damages: $4.8 million for emotional distress, false arrest, and career impact. Punitive damages: $11 million, specifically calculated to send a message about the cost of arresting people based on insufficient verification, especially in front of children. Total $15.8 million. When the amount was read, Vanessa closed her eyes and exhaled slowly. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. She just nodded once, like a teacher acknowledging a student who'd finally understood a difficult concept. Can database name matches justify arresting teachers in classrooms full of children? Let me know in the comments, because this jury answered that question with the third largest immigration enforcement settlement in U.S. history. Both agents were terminated within a week of the verdict. Their supervisor was demoted and reassigned. ICE implemented new nationwide protocols. Officers must verify at least 3 pieces of identifying information before any detention: name, date of birth, and either social security number, physical description, or photographic identification. Schools were officially designated as sensitive locations requiring supervisory approval before any enforcement action. Agents could no longer enter schools without coordinating with administration and verifying they had the correct individual through multiple data points. The Department of Homeland Security issued a formal apology to Vanessa, to Lincoln Elementary, and to the 23 students who witnessed the arrest. The apology acknowledged that insufficient verification protocols led to the wrongful detention of a U.S. citizen educator in front of minor children, causing preventable trauma to all involved. Vanessa used part of her settlement to create the Teacher Protection Legal Fund, providing free legal representation to educators facing immigration enforcement or other federal overreach. In its first year, the fund helped 34 teachers nationwide. She continued teaching at Lincoln Elementary. Same classroom, same students who'd watched her arrest. They moved up to 4th grade and requested her again for 5th. Principal Matthews made it happen. The classroom got 1 addition: a small poster beside the door, visible to everyone entering. This is a safe space. Everyone belongs here. Always. Marcus graduated from Lincoln Elementary 3 years later as the class valedictorian. At the ceremony, he thanked Ms. Cole. "You taught me to read when everyone said I couldn't. And when bad things happened, you came back. You showed me that strong people don't run away. They come back and keep teaching." Vanessa keeps the classroom security footage on a hard drive at home. Not to relive the trauma, but to remind herself why the fight mattered. 23 children learned that day that authority can be wrong, that mistakes have consequences, and that the adults they trust can be treated unjustly. But they also learned, eventually, that justice can prevail, that wrongs can be acknowledged, that $15.8 million is what accountability looks like when federal agents are too lazy to verify a birth date before traumatizing children. The Apple's embroidered cardigan still hangs in her classroom, a gift from students who loved her before the arrest, and who loved her even more after they saw her come back. What would you do if federal agents walked into your workplace and arrested you in front of the people you serve? Not because you committed a crime, not because they had evidence, but because your name matched someone else's in a database and they couldn't be bothered to check a birth date. And what would you do if you were one of those 23 8-year-olds watching your teacher? Someone you trusted, someone you loved, being handcuffed and dragged away by armed men. Drop your answer in the comments because these aren't hypothetical questions. This happened. The security footage exists. The children's testimony exists. The $15.8 million verdict exists. Vanessa Cole still teaches 3rd grade at Lincoln Elementary. She still stays late tutoring students. She still spends her own money on classroom supplies. She still makes every child feel seen. But she also carries trauma that never fully heals. And 23 children carry memories of the day they learned that being innocent doesn't always protect you from authority that can't be bothered to verify they have the right person. If this story reminded you that verification matters, that children's trauma matters, that citizenship should mean something more than a database entry, hit that subscribe button. These aren't just stories about lawsuits and settlements. They're about the human cost of bureaucratic laziness. They're about children who learn too young that the world isn't always just. See you in the next one. And remember, always verify before you traumatize.